Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'd like to thank all y'all that are here. My name is Dwayne Fabian. I am the chairperson of the Clayton County Library Board of Trustees. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get our meeting started. At this time, I'm going to call this meeting to order. We will have our prayer by our secretary, Sarah Skidmore, who is also a pastor at the Chapel of Jonesboro.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let's bow our heads. Lord, we thank you with a grateful heart for giving us this opportunity to come together to share in ideas and discussions that will better impact our community. We thank you for each person that serves on this board and gives up their time, walks in their purpose and their calling. I pray that our time here tonight will be productive, that we will speak to understand and not to just be heard, and that we will make decisions that will impact lives for many years to come. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, moving right along. Madam Secretary, can you have our roll call, please?
Chair Dwayne Fabian,
Present.
Vice Chair Drew Andrews,
Present.
Sabra Skidmore present, Salima Abdullah,
Present.
Sherry Gates,
Present.
Shernice Shaw,
Present.
Trina Coe,
Present.
Shepherd Isaac,
Present.
Ebony Brown, and Joanne Anderson.
All right. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
We do, sir.
All right, great. Next item on the agenda will be the approval of the agenda. I have a motion, please.
I move to approve the agenda.
It's been properly moved by trustee Abdullah. Is there a second?
I second.
Been properly moved by trustee Abdullah and seconded by trustee Gates. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? Any abstention? And motion carries. Next item on the agenda will be the approval of the minutes for January 13th, 2026. May I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the minutes.
It's been properly moved by trustee Isaac. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Shaw. Are there any questions?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
on page 2,
Okay.
first bullet point, copy of the librarian featured Mr. Jeremy. It should be Jeremy, not Jerry.
Jeremy with a J, not a G. Oh,
Jeremy with a J. Jeremy Walker. And then further down on the page where it says 2 grants were awarded.
mhm,
The first one for the National Day of Racial Healing,
mhm.
it's 2,000, not 10,000.
Okay.
And those were the only changes I had.
Okay, on the second one, 2,500, that still stands, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right, it's been properly moved and seconded with the corrections. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposers, any abstention, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda, Madam Secretary, do we have any on time for public comments?
We do have 3.
3 for public comments, okay. You go with the first one and read out disclosure.
Okay. The script for public comment is citizens will be given a minimum or given a 3-minute time limit for public comments. All comments should be limited to topics relevant to library operations or policies and should not solicit or promote products or services. Speakers must maintain decorous demeanor and refrain from personal attacks upon board members or library personnel. Shouting or using obscene language will not be permitted. Following 15 minutes of public comment, the Board of Trustees will allow the remainder of the citizens who have signed up to be heard at the next scheduled Board of Trustees meeting. And the first on the list is Richard Evie.
Point of order.
Yeah, Director Carr.
We had asked our branch managers to come in tonight so that we could introduce them and make some of the new board members aware of who they are. So not necessarily take up time for public comments, but again, an opportunity for me to introduce them when I got to my report.
That'll be fine.
Would that be okay?
That'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's, as you were, as you were. Next item on the agenda will be director's report.
Good evening. How's everyone?
Good evening.
I'm Scott Parham. I'm your director for the Clayton County Library System, and it is always wonderful seeing you in the building. Thank you so much to my staff for their dedication day in and day out. I have a few bullet points that I would like to highlight for last month's board report, but as I mentioned, I would like to introduce some of my staff first so that they don't have to stay the entire time if they have other obligations. So I'm going to start on the far end, Ms. Terkeisha Evans. She is our manager at our Lovejoy location. We have Ms. Samantha Rajan, who is the circulation manager here at headquarters. We have Mr. Richard Evie, who is the manager at the Riverdale Branch Library, and Ms. Barbara Rose, who is the manager at the Morrow Branch Library. So please give them a round of applause. So I know they've probably seen some of you already, kind of coming in and taking a look at the buildings and introducing yourselves. But if not, I did want them to come out so you can put a face with a name. And again, if you have any questions, they are more than happy to answer, respond to them, and we'll be welcoming you into their facilities as we do here. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. So for the first bullet point that I would like to mention is we had a very nice discussion with our Coffee with the Librarian last month. And we had none other than the Commissioner for District 1, Ms. Elena Reeves. And we had a very in-depth, robust conversation. She told us a lot about her background, how she got into civil service, again, how she started out her path into politics, and also talked about how she is a policy-driven person, as well as she really thrives on zoning and wants to really make sure that Clayton County has the proper zoning laws in order so that we can grow and that we can thrive. So it was a very nice conversation. The second bullet point I would like to mention is that you've heard us talk before about performing quarterly performance reviews. So each quarter, we compile data on our successes, on our shortcomings, and we present them to the county as a whole. These performance reviews are televised, and they take up 2 days. So all of the county departments have a turn or take turns delivering their quarterly progress. And so ours for the previous 2 quarters, we compiled the data and reported out this past January on our performance. And so Deputy Director Stanley usually handles that reporting, does a great job, and it's very appreciated. This will continue. We've been doing this for about 2 years now, and Board of Commissioners really relies on this data, and we will continue doing it moving forward. Let's see. Point of order also, there are some things that I need to mention in my report that actually didn't get onto the agenda. And I don't want to have to go back to make another motion to approve any agenda items. So I'll just include it here in my report, if that's okay. So you may notice on page, second to the last page, under MOUs. On the report, it said that there were none, but we had a flurry of paperwork come in at the last minute. And so there are some MOUs that are pending that will be going before the Board of Commissioners for their approval soon. I'm not sure if it will be at next week's meeting or the subsequent meeting after that. But for our summer food program, last year we partnered with an organization called Caring Hearts Community Development Corporation. They provided the lunches and the snacks for all of our children last summer. And so we are fulfilling an updated MOU with them to have them again come back this year. The next one is the Sandra Deal Center Summer Reading Mini Grant, as you see up here. So each summer, our state library provides us $1,500 that goes towards the promotion and prizes toward our summer reading program. And so again, we have to go before the board to ask to receive those funds. And so that will also be on the agenda soon. Melanated Pearl is our next one. You may be familiar. So Melanated Pearl, we partner with them and they provide hygiene kits for some of the residents that are unhoused. And so deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes, things of that nature. And so they provide the kits for us, and we hand them out to those residents and community members that need them. And the last one is Ellison Consulting Services. Dr. Ellison is someone who we partnered with before, and he provides a great wealth of health literacy and holistic health literacy. Year before last, we did a men's health symposium, and it was a 6-week program, and he was heavily involved in providing some of the training and the coursework for that 6-week program. So we're looking to partner again with him. So I do want to mention that to you all because you will see it coming up on one of the board meeting agendas soon. And let's see what else I have for you here. I'm going to talk about Orange Boy for a minute. That's okay. You may have also heard us mention, I'm not sure if it was last month or the month before, we are looking at moving toward an electronic incident reporting tool. Currently, if an incident happens at one of the libraries we have, right, and so we are moving to something electronic. We partnered with an organization called Orange Boy. We've gone through several rounds of training. We will be implementing the platform very soon. It allows various levels of authorization. So who can actually enter an incident report, who has the ability to see across just the branch or across the system. And so we have worked very diligently on how we roll out those authorizations. Another aspect of that is going to be the testing phase. So we will be rolling it out very soon and testing it to make sure that it lives up to everything that it needs to be. One of the things that it, in my opinion, which was a selling point, is that it takes the bias out of the reporting. And when I say bias, sometimes when I read the incident reports, some of the language in the report is skewed, I'll say. And so this reporting tool takes that out. Drop down, yes, no, boom, boom. You can add text, but it's very precise. And again, it takes some of the emotion out also in these reports. Another aspect is the archive. We can go back and I don't have to worry about where did I put that folder? Where did I put that report? And it integrates well with our risk management department here with the county. We involved them very early on this tool to make sure that whatever we have and put into the system, we could extract it and upload it to them, and it was appropriate for their records moving forward. So it's a win-win for us, and again, we will be testing that out very soon. So those were the highlights that I wanted to mention. Going to financials, or are there any questions regarding any of the bullet points or highlights? Yes, sir.
Just, excuse me, the day at the Capitol?
Yes.
Do you happen to know when, I guess the librarians be having their day at the Capitol this legislative session?
We haven't received a date yet.
Okay.
To my understanding, it's still pending, and we will still have Library Day at the Capitol. I just don't have a date yet.
Gotcha. Okay. That's all I have.
On the,
End of February, early March.
okay.
Yes, sir.
In reference to the electronic reporting, is that going to be like a shared folder type thing that one branch can check out and see what the headquarters is doing, or headquarters can see what another branch is doing, or the county can tap in to see what's going on?
It will, again, depend on those permissions and levels of authorization that we put in place. Yes.
Okay. And then lastly, on the scholarship, not the scholarship, but the grant, Sandra Deals, that Governor Deals, ex-retired?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know she was heavily with the library at one particular time.
Yes.
Okay.
And I understand you may have had a question about another grant we may have received recently.
I didn't know if you had an update on grants that we have received, if any of them have been approved, and can you say that? as of
Absolutely.
yet?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. With the help of our foundation and some other individuals, we were able to write a grant proposal to Senator John Ossoff's congressional spending something. I can't remember the name of it. But it was for a program that addressed veterans and small businesses. And the grant proposal was in the amount of $300,000. And we heard this week that we were awarded the grant. And so we are very excited about that. And so we will be gearing up very soon to make plans on executing that grant. So very excited.
So now that you brought it to the board, would we have someone maybe from, to speak specifically to the grant in more detail, like provide us with the name and the actual purpose? of
Absolutely.
that
Next-
From the foundation, is that possible?
Absolutely. And if not the foundation member, I have that information I can report out on next week if they're unavailable, but absolutely. I'll see if someone from Senator Ossoff's office also may be available to come and introduce themselves as
That
well.
would be great.
So,
Ms. Office.
yeah. And the next round of funding has recently opened up, and so we will be gathering our heads collectively to see if we can't put another proposal together for some more funding. So, very exciting.
Any other questions?
Great.
All right, next item on the agenda will be the deputy directors. Well, no, go ahead, say your name. Let's go ahead and do the final report, since you're there.
Changing up on you.
Yes.
So, for those that either aren't getting the financial reports in their emails, or I thought this may be a good option instead of also printing out multiple copies, and so that we would just have it up on the screen and go through it. So the first slide here is the grants or the state monies that we receive. And so we can see through, unfortunately, my pointer only works on the wall, it doesn't work on this. But the first line, salaries, and then books and materials, and you can see that for the books and materials grants funding that we've received, we've almost completed that account, which is a wonderful thing. Next one down, dues and subscriptions, same thing, more than half utilized. The system services grant monies we haven't utilized yet. And then building and improvement, that monies is toward the Riverdale expansion project. So we are closing in that courtyard. And we just had a meeting last week, so it will be going out for RFP bid on contractors very soon. So we should see some ground moving in a very short time. This project will need to be completed by June 30th of next year. So we're on a very short timeline, but our building and maintenance folks and architects have assured us that we should meet that deadline. So that 1.2,
5, 2, 3, 8, 7, 46.
yes. So I had an invoice come across my desk recently for about $22,000. So the next month we should see a different percent used on that account as well. Any questions on that one?
When you say this improvement it will expire, it needs to be done by 6:30? Today.
2027.
Yeah. And if we don't meet that deadline,
Then chances are whatever monies we haven't spent by that,
won't be.
we may have to submit back to the state,
Okay, gotcha.
but that is not our intention.
And the gazebo, are they going to conjoin it to the building, or is still have the open space?
There will no longer be that open courtyard.
Okay.
The designs that I've seen in, Mr. Eden may jump in, I think there may be a small pathway, a transition period before the old and the new building. We will have a brand new meeting room, state-of-the-art meeting room, maker space / teen room, as well as some restrooms in that new expansion. We did leave some of the courtyard open because the money only got us so much, but there is room for expansion if in fact we are able to get more funding later on. Riverdale, and as you know, and we have talked about, we consolidated a lot of accounts, and so for their library office supplies for Riverdale, they have used more than half of their budget for that. Morrow, Same, 55.79% for their office supplies. Forest Park, 39.5, so we still have a little ways to go. Headquarters, we have some office supplies, 72%, other library minor equipment, 62%. Food and dietary, again, was rolled up into another account, which I'll have on another slide. Lovejoy for their office supplies. Takesha's done a great job.
All right.
That's what I do.
Northwest, again, more than half has been expended. Admin, travel and training. We have several conferences coming up. Several folks are going to Public Library Association conference in April. We have the American Library Association conference coming up late June. There's computers and libraries that Laura will be attending. So that travel and training, we may go into red and may have to transfer. But we've got a lot of folks attending a lot of professional development conferences coming up very soon. So office supplies, absolutely. Computer equipment, other minor equipment, food, again, rolled in, as well as the food that we provide for the board meetings. So we may have to scale back and go to chips and chips and water.
Can't start something.
Right. And the last one is our technical services. We have some work to do in tech services. You'll see for their dues and subscriptions, a lot of our major renewals, maintenance contracts come out during this next two quarters. And so that dollar amount, which we've only used 10%, we will be hitting very hard over the next several months. The office supplies is what it is, as well as the books and materials. Again, of the 200,000, we have spent 91,000 of that. So we're on a good track. We're on a good pace to have everything spent down by the end of this year. Any questions on any of this?
Okay, hearing none, we accept the report as read.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Next item on the agenda, we'll have the deputy director's report.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. I'm Sherry Stanley, Deputy Director for the Clayton County Library System, and I'm just so excited to see everyone here. Our managers here, welcome. And so January was a dynamic and productive month. And so we began the year with New Year's resolutions, also a renewed focus on service. And so across our branches, January, it included meaningful recognition of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., also displays that reflect his life, programming, and to highlight his legacy and impact. Not only that, we know New Year's resolutions, we have vision boards, we have a lot of programs where we are trying to better ourselves or make sure that this year was better than the last year. And so January, we had a meeting of the minds, strengthening community partnerships. And Belinda Ellaby facilitated this meeting of the minds. And this is where we brought community partners in to help identify resources and needs of the local organizations. And this session provided an opportunity to share the organization's purpose, their benefits. They provided community, they provided their challenges within their organizations, as well as possible solutions. And so one thing we know is that we are a lot of times duplicating a lot of the same efforts. But we know that if we could coordinate this approach, we could streamline it so that we could reduce redundancy, but also we could make use of the resources and we could collaborate together. And so that was such a wonderful meeting. And so stay tuned, you will definitely be informed of the next one. This was awesome. The Clayton County Library System and the Goodwill of North Georgia hosted a Goodwill Job Fair on January 15th. And so this was at the South Clayton Recreational Center. We had more than 250 participants. And so this was a wonderful day. And so as you know, we partner with the Goodwill of North Georgia to bring employers. We also provide job readiness classes, how to dress for success, interview skills, as well as helping you with your resume. And so this was a wonderful program. And so we try to have a Goodwill job fair because we want to promote workforce development. We want to make sure that we are seeing our Clayton County citizens with better jobs and the resources to have the better jobs. At the Morrow branch, the Department of Digital Equity hosted a Canva class this month, last month in January, to help patrons build their digital design skills. Participants received hands-on instructions in creating flyers, social media graphics, and other visual materials. And this kind of goes back to Chef Rita's testimony of how she was able to be successful in achieving her goal. And so we also had a training session for staff, a Canva class. And so we wanted to roll that out to the public to make sure that, as everyone knows, Canva is an easy way to use graphic designs. And so we want to make sure that everyone understands the program and can utilize it accordingly. And so this last month, the Northwest branch honored our Officer Joe. As you may be aware, we do have reserve officers within our branches, and we appreciate everything that they do for us and for our citizens. And so the Northwest branch honored Officer Joe, recognized him for his generosity, his caring spirit, and just being there for the community. But we want to thank all of our reserve officers because we know we can't do the work without them. The Helen Ruffin Reading Bowl. This was scheduled on January 31st. However, due to the weather, it was canceled. And so this was going to be our first time having a team represent the Clayton County Library System. They are going to reschedule it, so stay tuned for that date and for that information. The one thing we talked about last board meeting that really made an impact, I think, was impactful stories. We know that the Board of Trustees, you go out into the community and you advocate for us. But at the same time, you use the stories that we tell you in order to advocate. And so I want to take a moment to kind of focus on impactful stories, just like we talked about with Chef Rita, so that when you're in the community, you can share some of these great highlights and stories. And so one story that stood out to me, and this was probably at the end of the summer, and we had an open house. There was a senior, a patron that was from between the ages of probably 78 to 82. And she was here because her church member said, hey, let's go to the library. Well, she had never really been to the library. She learned to read later on in life. She was a mother, a wife, and had a lot of responsibilities. So she took this opportunity to come to the library. Well, she had never had a library card. And so this was her first time getting a library card. And then it was so many activities going on. We had food, everyone was demonstrating different technology, and she just was overwhelmed. And so I got a chance to observe Kim Jones talking to her and observing this interaction. She was so excited when she presented her with the library card. They were taking pictures. So I was like, okay, let me look and see what's happening. And so this just is a testament to a lot of times people don't think that we see them. They don't think that we see the good work that they're doing. But a lot of times we have wonderful staff all over our branches. And they are the ones that come into contact with our citizens on a regular basis. And so this, and Kim just began to have a conversation with her. What do you like? What are you into? And she began to tell her about the resources, about the programs. And I touched base with Kim just to see, did she ever come back? And she says, well, her church member comes and she picks up books for her. And so I thought that was such a wonderful, impactful story, because the one thing about it is, in the library space, you should be able to identify with any resource program, something. And so the library is for everyone, no matter what age. And so we welcome everyone. And so I just thought that that was wonderful. And what we have started doing now is providing training for staff with the different databases so that they, and this was something that was requested by staff, so that they know the details of the databases, so that when they're on the front line, that they can even go further to explain the databases. And so I kudos to the staff for wanting that and for wanting to make sure that our patrons are well educated about the resources that we have. There was another impactful story that I wanted to share, and this came through from one of our public services supervisors, and her name's Amanda Corbett. This is Mr. Evie's number 2. And so she wrote a letter that said, I would like to take a moment to share some wonderful feedback regarding Jennifer Wynn's Storytime programs at the Riverdale Library, and recognize the incredible impact she's having on families in our communities. On January the 22nd, we welcomed a family to Riverdale Storytime for the first time. This family typically attends Storytime at the Fayetteville Library, but after experiencing Jennifer's programs, they made it a point to share how impressed they were with her dedication and approach. They described Jennifer's Storytime as active, engaging, and full of warm, welcoming atmosphere. They especially appreciated how interactive the program was and how thoughtful it incorporated elements that allowed every child to feel included. They shared the program, felt excited, and truly special to attend. So this family was so moved by their experience that they returned the very next day, that Friday, and to participate in Jennifer's sensory story time. So after attending both programs, they decided to make them weekly for families at the Riverdale branch. So they specifically mentioned that they are more than happy to drive a little bit further because of the incredible high quality programming that Jennifer provides at the Riverdale branch. And so she wanted to make sure that we got the feedback and that we received feedback from this family and from her as to the great job that Jennifer is doing. And one thing about it is, if you go to all of our branches, you will see we have talented staff all over. They all do such a wonderful job. So what I would like to do and what I would like to incorporate is to tell you something about our branches and about some impactful stories, so that when you go into the community, you can advocate and you can have some material to tell them. And so I'm just overexcited about this, because I think that our staff are very dedicated to serving the community, and it shows by their programs. It shows every day they walk through these doors. And so let's talk about our virtual services coordinator, Laura Evie. You see her, and she's recording our Board of Trustees meetings, but her hands are a little bit into everything. And so recently, she started teaching basic AI classes. She taught at headquarters, Northwest, and this is just a few. And then she also highlighted Mango languages through the library promotion. So you may see her online saying, hey, let me highlight this database for you. Let me tell you a little bit about what it entails. And so she went to the branches, and we are working on a video. I will not tell you yet, because I know you all love the videos. However, we have one video that we would love to show you.
That's not a stack. Oh, that's a circle. No, you're not. Here's the count. You messed me up.
What are y'all doing?
For the Bean Stack Challenge?
The Beanstack Reading Challenge that we offer through Beanstack on our website?
Yeah, we saw the challenge on our website. It so we're trying to prepare.
This challenge, why don't we, meet in my office and we can discuss this a little more. It's not, I didn't hire y'all to be actual bee counters. No, nor is HR.
Ain't it fun?
And so this is just one of our initiatives to make a fun video so that people recognize and people join in. And Bean Stack, you can have challenges. We use it for summer reading. You know, you enroll in it, you may have challenges, but we do it throughout the year. Okay, and so please tune in, you may be able to log on and win some prizes. And so the one thing about it is our staff love videos, don't we, staff? Look, we love videos, y'all.
Yes, they do.
So kudos to Laura Evie, also kudos to Kim Jones. We saw those videos before. Lately, did you see the video with them running through the doors? Did y'all see that video? We'll show that next time. So yes, so we are having a ball while we're at work. Because the one thing about it is we spend a lot of time at work, but we like who we work with.
That's important.
It is very important. So any questions from our report? Yes.
Regarding the videos, I watch them on your social media platform, but are you also on TikTok? Is that a TikTok?
No, we are on Instagram.
Okay.
We are on YouTube. We also are on Nextdoor, Facebook.
Okay. So I covered all of them then. Okay. I'm following you on all.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to make sure none got behind me.
Oh, so you're saying our vice chair's on TikTok now?
I am.
Look. So stay tuned. You'll never know what video will be next. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to expound on the impactful stories.
Yes.
I recently visited the Riverdale branch, and a particular employee was they were all nice, but her name is Yvette, right? I can't remember her last name. Okay. And their process was excellent because they have a separate area towards the back where they have their computers set up, and they have she was there that day, but someone is always stationed there to help people. And that particular time I was having difficulty getting some things printed off. Everybody that came into that area, she was so pleasant, and she helped them with, directing and explaining what they needed to do and all. But she was just very pleasant in their process. I think that was excellent to have someone assigned there, where you don't have to go around and try to find somebody to ask a question. So I just wanted to commend that branch for their employees.
Well, excellent. And thank you so much for sharing. Because a lot of times we don't know. We encourage all of our citizens to share something wonderful, because we hear so many great things. As I'm going out into the community, I hear a lot of great things, and I try to come back and make sure that I report to those workers, hey, someone said you did a great job, because I think we should honor people when they do a great job. People, we're quick to say, no, that's not right, but we want to be quick to say, what I'm saying is we're not quick to say, but a lot of times people are quick to say to us when they don't think something is right. But we want to, constructive criticism is good, but we also want to make sure people know that you're appreciated and that you did such a great job and you went over and beyond.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, next item on the agenda will be the committee report, Secretary.
So on our advocacy, I have a hard time saying that, committee, that's actually what you just brought us into that with what you did. So thank you for that. I know that for me, I had an opportunity to be at an event that was held in the county And I wasn't there representing the library or anything, but I just happened to be around a group of people who started talking about needing someone to help them with a resume. And that gave me the opportunity to step in and just take over the whole floor. I know y'all are surprised at that, right? But, so I was literally in a parking lot with a group from our community. And I just went through, there's a lot that I don't know. I'm just learning about the library. And I hate to say that, but that's the truth. But I had the opportunity to tell them that we offered all of that. I actually shared today about the upcoming event with Legitimate Conversations, the podcast, and I just put at the top, who wants to go with me? And immediately my text messages started going off, okay, where are we meeting? We're meeting at your house. And I'm like, wait a minute, we want to spend the day with you. I just wanted you to show up there. I mean, come on now. But there are so many opportunities that we can have, like you said, to advocate. We don't have to have a platform. We can make our own. And so that's just something that I wanted to share with everybody. Is there someone else?
I'd like to share that while I'm not able to come into the library as much as I would like to participate in the programming, I do watch the videos. And I do repost all of the fun videos. And as I learn about events and things that are happening in the library, I also share those as well. So there are multiple ways that you can be an advocate for the library, even if you're not able to be present. Communicating in the community, talking to others, visiting branches, but also on your social media platform, sharing the great work and the things that are happening, because we all have multiple platforms. So that's another way that you can be an advocate.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda will be the unfinished business of the editing of the bylaws.
As Shirley is passing out those copies on the.
Actually, that's okay.
We made printed copies as well, just so they can have them in here. Because that can be a little small, especially for us glasses wearing. Oh.
You need an extra pen. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. The bylaws committee wanted to come back before you because we really believe in the bylaws being a collective document, and we wanted to ensure that the language that we put in the bylaws is our collective language. So we had a very robust conversation about some edits and some additions that need to take place. So I thought, the committee thought, that there was some value in bringing it back before the board, just so that you all can see it written within the bylaws, and then we can agree that this is what we would like for it to say. So there are 2 pages that we're going to be looking at. The first page is page number 2. So if you would turn to page number 2, you will see highlighted in section 5, we discussed adding an exemption in our attendance policy, and the exemptions would include hospitalization, serious illness, or death of an immediate family member. So we have that added there. And then we're going to turn to page 7. This was really the meat of our conversation. If you all remember, we discussed having a virtual meeting option, and that we need, because this is new, we needed to have some language embedded in the bylaws. And based upon everything that was shared collectively as a committee, we came up with a consolidated statement that we think represents what was shared in the meeting. So I'll read that and then open the floor, Chair Fabian, for discussion if anyone wants to add anything or thinks we need to do anything different. So the language as it stands right now is a virtual meeting option will only be available to members of the Board of Trustees and the general public if a quorum of board members is physically present. During a virtual meeting, when a vote is required, a board member must have their cameras on. A board member may not participate in more than 3 virtual meetings in a calendar year. Exemptions include hospitalization, serious illness, or death of a family member. And we thought that that statement really brought together everything that everyone shared.
Just one comment. I noticed, in the attendance part, you said, the death of an immediate family member, and I know this is different, but did you mean on this one, did you mean death of an immediate family member or just a family member? And an immediate family member would be, in my opinion, mother, father, sister, brother, wife. Just for clarity, what is immediate and not just a family member?
So we tried to keep the language in the attendance section the same as the language in our virtual meeting option. So they both should say death of an immediate family member. So,
Inadvertently was left off.
Okay.
well,
However, it does raise a point.
Yeah.
If in fact the body agrees that it should be an immediate family member or family member. And so I've been in situations where I have been so close to a family member who wasn't immediate, but
Sure.
didn't lessen the impact of their illness or their passing. And so, again, up to the body.
I would
I
like to
actually agree with
remove,
that.
remove immediate.
And I was having the same thoughts. I don't want anyone to pass away, but I don't discredit if someone has a close relationship with someone that's not their immediate family member. It doesn't make it any less,
So we can make the language consistent for both sections? If that is what it is.
Yes, so it'd be family member?
yes,
All right.
it seems as though the consensus is remove immediate and just keep it at family member. So we will do that. Anything else in that section needs attention? Thank you for bringing that to our attention. See how multiple, that's why it's important for us to bring these things. I appreciate you. Anything else in that section other than that? Okay, perfect. And the last thing that we thought that we needed to add is the section 5, quorum and voting. You'll see highlighted there where it says in person. So I'll just read that sentence so that we're clear on what the new sentence will state. No official business may be conducted at a board meeting without an in-person quorum, and that's just in line with our now virtual option. So we had to add it there. Is everyone okay with that?
Good.
Good? You want me to take a vote or? good?
No,
Okay.
we'll make that edit and on the next meeting, then we'll make the motion.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that was painless.
Thank you. I have one more thing. There was some discussion at our last minute, at our last meeting about now that we have a virtual option, what does that mean for our public in terms of when they want to make public comments? Okay, and so while we did not put it in the actual bylaws, we did want to mention that we are recommending that we add it to our statement that is said before public comment. So we would read public comment as it stands, but in addition to what is read, we will add members of the public must have their cameras on when delivering public comment virtually. That was something that was expressed in our last meeting, and we thought that that was of value to add to our statement before public comments.
That first bullet point, we've already taken care of in the last discussion, where trustees will have their cameras on when there was a vote. And then the third bullet point, I will need to add some context when I talk about website ADA compliance. So I'll cover that.
I have a question for clarity. So virtually you have that chat option. So the chat would not be considered public comment. Public comment be the actual person vocalizing their concern or whatever with the camera on, correct?
That is that is my thought behind having that virtual option for the general public. Yes.
I concur with that.
So
We
does
just want
that
to
need to
see-
be added in there for clarity? Because I know a lot of the Zoom meetings that I'm a part of, people will just chat.
I'm one of those people.
Oh, are you? Don't do that.
I don't think the chat should be, we'll put it this way, I don't want to eliminate the chat,
Mhm.
but if you want to make a comment, again, your camera must be on and then just speak into the camera. So we can see and make sure that whoever's speaking is that person.
I think for public comments, it needs to be formal. And I think with your camera on and you speak is a formal means of public comments.
You can still chat and
Right.
ask questions of and whatnot, but if you want to make a public comment, it will be through the camera. Yeah.
And we also have an allotted time,
Right.
right, for our public comments. And so the chat, while it may be available the entire meeting, right, I don't know that there's gonna be someone manning that or responding to that, so we haven't really discussed that. We have a public comment space already in our meetings, and it has certain guidelines. And so in line with that, we just wanna make sure that it's communicated that you need to have your cameras on, so we know who is commenting. We got a lot of bots. We want to make sure we don't have a bot commenting. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, a new job. You got distracted. Next item on the agenda will be new business, Director Palmer.
All right. Show of hands, who's familiar with Senate Bill 74? We've been talking about it for a little while. Senate Bill 74 came up last year. It is a piece of legislation that speaks to materials in the hands, harmful materials in the hands of minors, to where the bill or legislation was looking at making it a criminal offense to librarians if minors got a hold of something that was considered harmful. It did not pass last year. It got brought back up again this legislative session. And there has been lots of discussion about the language that was in the original bill. A lot of library leaders, professionals went down to the Capitol to encourage the legislation to modify some of the language. And I think some of it is still being considered. But let me just read the section on what is trying to be modified. So, and bear with me, it is a lot. So Georgia Code 16-12-103, Section 3. The person violating the provisions of this subsection shall be punished with a civil fine in an amount not less than $250 and not more than $500 for each violation. Each day in violation of this subsection shall constitute a separate offense. The new bill, Senate Bill 74, is to amend Part 3 of Article 3, Chapter 12, Title 16 of the Official Code relating to the sale or distribution of harmful materials to minors so as to revise an exemption for libraries and librarians from the provisions of Code Section 16-12-103 relating to selling, loaning, distributing, or exhibiting materials harmful to minors, to amend Code Section 20-5-43, the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to duties and responsibilities of Board of Trustees as to provide for training for reviewing reconsideration requests regarding material harmful to minors, to provide for related matters, to provide for an effective date and applicability, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. So what is it saying? What are they trying to say? What, again, is the essence of this? We're trying to, when I say we, the library profession is trying to convey to the legislation that we already have measures in place through our reconsideration of materials policy. That if there is something that a parent does not like. If there's something they feel is harmful, there's a process that we already have in place. Let the libraries follow that process. We already have something there. Additionally, they are asking that boards of trustees also go through training, specialized training. What that is, I don't know. But I think it's in effort to just make the board more aware of the process and that there are things that are deemed harmful to minors. Some of the loopholes that innately have been with this, we have self-check machines at all of our locations. Large portion of the time, there is no interaction with staff when folks are checking out items. So how would you hold us accountable for something that we have no idea is even happening? Should it not be a parental responsibility to see what that child, their child, actually checks out with their library card? And that, again, is something we are trying to share with the legislation, that these decisions that you are trying to hold us accountable for should in fact be parental decisions. So we can have training with the reconsideration of materials process. I would encourage that. When we had the policy passed maybe 2 years ago, I think, if we need to revisit that, I'll be more than happy to. I've had one challenge thus far. Yeah, I see some eyebrows go up. Yes, it was a graphic novel that was under consideration, and yes, ma'am.
Can I know the name of the book? Was it Heartstoppers?
No,
Okay,
no. Do you recall what it was? Yeah, but
okay. I just
yeah,
wondered.
that's okay. But there are quite a few out there that are questionable. And so we did receive one. It went through the process. Part of the process, you have to fill out the form to have us reconsider that material in entirety. And it says that if you don't complete it entirely, then it won't be considered. And so we will follow that process. We will continue to follow that process, and we will continue to try to educate and to, I don't want to say sway, but just again, let's do what we do. We went to school to be professionals, and we are. So that's the gist of it. It's still being discussed at the Capitol, and I haven't had an update. Any updates?
So it came out of full committee, and it will now be going to the Rules Committee. It has come out of the House Judiciary Non-Civil Committee. After leaving that same subcommittee, it will now be going to the Rules Committee, which is the committee that oversees the flow of legislation from committee to the floor. So it has one more step to make before it is possibly making it back to the floor.
Yeah. And if, again, there's any action that our state librarian asks that we do, and I do send out emails, she gives us updates from time to time. And I'll be more than happy to share those with the board, to just let them know what's going on and needing their support.
And they will share with us a list of individuals that are on the Rules Committee if needed, so that if they are indeed somewhere in proximity to where we are located or in proximity to our actual representatives, we can reach out to them or have our representative reach out to them for advocacy.
Yeah, and that would be my suggestion. I'm in close contact with my representatives, and so I always call them and let them know how I feel about a certain bill. And that's what I encourage us to do. Continue to reach out to our delegates and let them know how we feel and how we would like them to vote, for us. My concern, two things, just right off the top. The harmful, the term harmful,
Yes.
is kind of relative. I mean, what some people seem harmful is not harmful to me. Yes, thank you. And so, as I understand it, as I'm a trustee, many of the librarians is licensure? I mean,
Yes,
is there a
we have
license?
to have a state license.
And so my concern, being in healthcare, I'm a nurse, so I understand having your license taken away from you. And so that's my concern, that our librarians may lose their license behind something that I believe should be relegated to the parents.
Right, and Kimberly actually has some information about the term harmful.
Okay, well, thank you.
So there was some, I don't want to say pushback, there was some recommendations on how to frame the word harmful. There was a question of having it to match the actual obscenity laws that are already set in Georgia law. And they are not wanting that verbiage. So that's why they won't use the word obscene, because if they use the word obscene in the bill, it has to match the meaning of obscene of the law. So they're purposely using the vague word harmful. There was also a request to have LGBTQIA+ and the word homosexual or gay removed from harmful materials, and that was shot down immediately. So there are particular verbiage that people are reaching for to have pulled out of this subjective, overarching category of harmful that are not being responded to. So it's a purposeful vagueness of the word in an effort to make the bill less specific. So there are a lot of people who are now asking, the same way we were able to have the verbiage change, that the verbiage that Scott shared with you, that verbiage actually came from the GLA Advocacy Committee, and it did make it into the committee, and it is now an amendment, but now additional amendments are being shot down.
Yes,
I have a question.
yes.
My children are all grown, but when they were younger, I used to be able to block them from being able to have access to certain things. So is that an option when checking out materials? Can parents say attached to their library card so it's flagged? Like if they want to check something out that has the word homosexual in it and they don't want their child, so my child doesn't have that, can't check out a lot. Is that an option, or that's not an option to put those types of parameters on what your child is checking out via their library card? Are we not there yet?
I'm gonna play advocate, just for a brief moment before I answer that.
Okay.
So on page 293 of that book, it has the word homosexual, whether you know it or not. They check it out, it says Johnny plays baseball. But on page 299, it says homosexual. So how are you as a parent going to actually catch that unless you read with the child, or you know of that book, or you know of that work in advance? So it's difficult, again, in the way that question was framed. Now, are there restrictions on the cards? Yes, juveniles and young adults have their own cards. And so they are privy to checking out materials in their age range. Even with electronic items, the same thing applies. There are platforms that we have held off on that would eliminate those things that catch those titles, and we've not participated in those. So yes, there are, what's the word I'm looking for?
Restrictions.
Restrictions.
Already in place.
Yes.
So when they go to swipe their library card, they're trying to check out an adult novel. They don't get to check out that adult
Correct.
novel because their card is already restricted.
Correct.
Yes.
But more specific restrictions aren't available to parents, is what I guess I'm hearing, because we have not gotten, I guess, with AI and everything else, they should be able to tell us all the words at the end of the book, so if the book is has
Yeah. So my question is just around the local branches. What is the rule as far as, because my kids are grown too, but I've never dropped my child off at a library and just drove away. I mean, I don't know, I'm not understanding the thought process behind it not being the parent's responsibility for what comes into their home. So what are the rules on that? Can you drop a 9-year-old, 11-year-old?
They have to be accompanied by someone who's a 17 or older. Yeah, they cannot be unaccompanied.
So I guess I'm just not getting what the problem is. If I'm here with my child and he's checking out a book, I'm standing there.
I guess it's once I get home and I read the entire book and I found the word on page 148. That's
So
the,
you
that's
fill
the
out a
issue. It's
form.
like,
Yeah.
it's after, I thought this book was
Yeah.
okay until I got home and dug a little deeper and now I found some issues. So now I come back with a complaint. It's essentially.
And we have a process for that complaint.
Yeah, because there is absolutely no way I would think of, I know AI is really a huge thing, but I just don't know that there would be a way for somebody to say, okay, we're gonna go through a makeup process so that it's not harmful. Because like was said a minute ago, what's appropriate in my home may not be appropriate in yours. Yeah. So,
I know. And you are absolutely right,
yeah.
absolutely right. And that's where a lot of professionals and a lot of just the public share the same sentiment, that I know what my child needs.
Right.
I'm very present, I'm very active in their education or just their leisure. And so putting that responsibility on someone else,
Yeah.
a lot of times we feel is misguided. So, but we will definitely keep you
It's
abreast
almost
of
like
how this
holding the
moves.
bartender responsible for selling the last drink to someone who gets in a car and drives and kills someone. It just doesn't make sense.
Understood.
And I'm a conservative person, but it just doesn't make sense to me at all.
Understood. Any other questions regarding Senate Bill 74? And I'm sure there's going to be more come out, so as it does, we will inform the board, and if there's some updates by next month's meeting, I can share those as well. Cool? Cool.
All right, next item, website ADA compliance.
Yes, and other stuff. Okay. So, there have been federal laws passed about making websites ADA compliant. And that means for our website, for the videos, for the documents that we post on our webpage, we are going to have to make them ADA accessible by April. Yes. Very quick. So that means for some of the videos that we already have posted, we are going to have to add closed captioning to them for folks who have difficulties with hearing. How that applies to us is our live streamed meetings. In order for us to have closed caption feature for our live meetings, we have to pay a service to essentially transcribe on the go, almost like a stenographer, a court stenographer. That's about $125, $150 per hour that we would have to pay a service to have closed captioning to our live meetings. So we may have to move to recording our meetings, adding the closed captioning to them, and then posting them to our website in order to stay compliant. So as Trustee Abdullah was mentioning, that last bullet point on the virtual meeting guidelines, where the virtual meeting link shall be publicly accessible, we may have to discount that and just say that the recorded meeting, the recorded Board of Trustees meeting is now available on the webpage with closed caption viewing, something added to it. Yeah, it's a lot. A lot of the documents, again, that are in PDF form, some of them we are grandfathered in and we don't have to go back and change, but others we will. Laura, how many was over 700? No, those were videos. We've got 700 and some odd videos that are on our Clayton County YouTube page. Right. I know, right?
We love the big.
We've been doing this for a little while. And not just Board of Trustee meetings, but other videos that we add and that we post. And so again, anything we have up there, if it's not grandfathered in, we are going to have to modify to make it ADA accessible. By April. I did say by April.
Okay, by April.
By April.
Okay, so educate me on that part there, but I thought that on YouTube, it's automatically done as long as you have that button turned on.
It has been, because that's how I do the minutes. But this last one, we were talking about that because January's meeting stumped me up because they were off. So,
So the guidelines for the ADA Title II regulations are synchronized and accurate captions. So the AI generated captions don't mean that accuracy and reading, so they have to be human generated. So that's why we could upload afterwards, because we can modify the AI generated ones, but yes, the accuracy.
So what does that mean then for, so we can still have public participation in our meetings, which would then still require a link be somewhere for them to join our meetings?
Let me confirm and verify before
Okay.
yes.
Because that's what I thought, that's,
Let me just make sure before, again, I don't want to misinform or go down a path that I'm incorrect. But I'll have something confirmed by our next meeting.
And on that caption, the ones that I've seen, I know that is like a 3 or 4 second delay before it's publicized to the audience. So by changing it the way we want to do it now, by April, it'd be synchronized all at the same time without a delay.
There would still be a delay for the captioner, I think, but I think within that time frame is acceptable.
Any other questions on the ADA compliance? A lot of things are in flux now, and we're again having to move and sometimes be in a fluid situation. So as it comes up, I will most definitely bring it to the board as soon as I'm aware of it. Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further, I have a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
It's been properly moved by trustee Abdullah. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Isaac. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? Motion carried. Good night.
Before you leave out, Kimberly just brought it to my attention that Library Day, trustee Andrews mentioned, is on the 19th.
Not library and print day. The other one, the one that the Georgia Council for Library does.
Okay,
Not hot dog day.
not Hot Dog Day. Okay, there's another print day at the Capitol, which is the 19th, which is my birthday, which we'll get to another time.
Okay, which one do you want us to be to?
Of course, my birthday. But no, once Library Day at the Capitol, which is also referred to as Hot Dog Day at the Capitol, because we have the varsity come out, we will let you know as soon as we have a date on that. Thank you all.
Thank you.